Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Chaotic Neutral with your host Sabrina and my co-host
Hey
Artemis.
guys.
This week we're going to be talking about LCS Week 1, which we were super excited for. So, Artemis, what was your thoughts about Week 1 of the LCS?
I mean, it was perfect, right? I think that's the word I have to use, but I wouldn't change anything. I think that game against 100 Thieves was a little bit touch and go. I guess we can talk more about it in a little bit, but I was definitely sweating during that game, that's for sure. And also the we're hearing the comms live, but we don't get to see the gameplay live. At least for week one, they didn't have like a coach's stream set up, so it was so stressful listening to that game because I don't know if you remember that we were fighting for Soul Point and we were contesting the fourth dragon, and it was literally a 3-minute sequence of like fight, like kill two people, like wait for respawns, fight again, like wait for somebody to base and TP back. Like it was pretty chaotic at like that 25-minute mark. So that was stressful. Super happy we got the win against 100 Thieves, and then the game against CLG has to be one of the favorite games of my career as a coach. Like it was just incredible. The amount of discipline that our guys had on stage that day and the quality of the game they played was just, it was perfect. And I'm just so proud of those guys. So I couldn't really think of a better way to start this summer split.
For sure. And, opening the LCS Summer Split on Friday against 100 Thieves was super exciting for us. We were the first teams being able to play, and it was insane. Like, as you mentioned, that soul point where Kumo, like, backs and then TPs back in to end the fight and, secure that W. I was literally at the edge of my seat.
It was insane. Like I think that our draft wasn't excellent in that game. Like I don't think that it's like super clear that like who got out drafted. But I will say that 100 Thieves composition was definitely easier to execute, especially in the early game. Like one of the things that was giving us trouble is when you're playing something like Kindred Yumi, it's really difficult to actually control vision on the bot side of the map because you don't have anybody who can face check bot river. So I think like there was two separate instances in that game where Dennis actually got caught in bot side river, and it's not really much to do with him. Like in practice that week, like we had talked about how to get vision with Yumi, but it wasn't necessarily so straightforward in that game just because of the drafts like around the pick. So after that, like we essentially had to cede all control of bot side and just like scale, and like hope we hit our spikes. But that's like something that we've been working on in practice, which is just playing discipline from behind, like locking down the game and playing to our spikes. So I was super proud of the league we played because it was like it really showed that what we've been working on in practice is translating to stage. But I know that you probably had a little bit of extra motivation or a little extra happiness in that game because you used to work for 100 Thieves, right? Is that right? So
Yes.
did it feel good to beat your old team, or like because I know when I face my old teams, like I kind of get a little bit of extra stuff from beating them. So how did it feel for you to kind of beat 100 Thieves that way? Because I'm sure from their perspective that was a pretty crushing defeat. Because I'm sure
Oh,
that for
absolutely.
25 minutes of that game they probably felt like they were in control, and then it just kind of slipped away.
For sure. I mean, for your first point, how did it feel? It's a little bittersweet for me personally since I was their manager and I spent like almost 24/7 with all of these guys and the
Yeah.
coaching staff. Um, and but it still felt good.
Yeah, dude. Don't lie to these
Yeah,
viewers.
yeah, it still felt good. And it was actually pretty interesting as well because after the game, we made a tweet on the Evil Geniuses account. And
That's right.
I'm exposing me here a little bit, but I might have made that tweet.
That was you?
And
I didn't even know that.
yeah.
That's live on air. Okay.
Yes. I might have said, "Hey, post this, I dare you." And they literally copy and pasted it,
Not bad.
and started some Twitter drama, which I think is a little bit interesting. What's your thoughts on how that played out post game?
It was so funny. It was so funny. I mean, nothing makes me happier than seeing just a rabid bunch of Zoomers freaking out on Twitter. So, I mean, it was super funny to see just how triggered that their fan base got over it. Like we called them an apparel company, and like they lost their goddamn minds, and it was so sweet for me to watch. Like I don't really care much for Twitter drama. Like I really couldn't care less. But
Mhm.
just the fact that like all these like influencers and stuff that work for 100 Thieves were like getting so defensive over it was like a pretty funny banter tweet. Like it just like it honestly gave the tweet that much more credibility. You know what I mean? Like if it's tweeted
Mhm.
out and it's kind of just like, that was pretty funny. Like that's one thing, but we tweeted it out and it just explodes with 100 Thieves salt, and it was 10 out of 10. Social media, Sabrina. Well, you know, round of applause for you because that was pretty funny to watch. That's for sure.
Well, this is the thing, like, with the context of me working there, right? Like,
Mm.
I've heard those kind of jokes kind of be played around the office, so I thought it wasn't, like, that, like, controversial, I guess, when I had told them to post it. It was, like, more of, like, a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke, but then it got people like Courage,
Yeah.
getting involved, and a bunch of these other influencers and fans. And my first thought was like, you guys even watch the game?
Well, probably not because they're 100 Thieves fans, right? And they're there to buy merchandise, not watch League of Legends. But okay, I'm sorry,
Oh.
sorry. But no, like I think it makes some sense, right? Because I think like
Yeah.
last year, or, like previously, like 100 Thieves has had very limited success in their esports, but like they've had some success. But I guess recently they're just taking L after L. So at least like when it comes to the competitive aspect of their org. So probably a little bit of pouring salt on a wound, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You're right. And yeah, you know what I really want to like kind of point out in this is that now we have a real rivalry in this. Yes. I feel like for Evil Genius specifically, we've come into this, split, and we like had, a Flight Quest kind of like friendly banter thing. But I'm really excited because 100 Thieves, I think, is our last game of the entire
And
split.
they're so mad. They're so mad.
And they're so mad, and they're gonna really want to win. And I think that'll be really exciting to build on. So I hopefully I mean, if they're not like too personally burned by it by that time, like I hopefully we can like play some sort of, like banter on Twitter to really add a little bit more hype to the game.
For
So
sure.
that's
For
how I
sure.
feel about it. And obviously winning makes it a lot easier
That's true.
to throw those kinds of words. So speaking of which, CLG kind of hard to insult a team that got perfect gamed. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a Travis interview. I'm not sure when this podcast is gonna come out, but you can go check that out if you haven't seen it. I'm
Mhm.
not sure when they'll be aired, but he was asking me about like my thoughts on the game, and he essentially was
Mhm.
like does this mean anything, or is like CLG just that bad? And like I've seen that sentiment around, like I've seen that sentiment on Reddit, I've seen that sentiment on Twitter, and people are just like if you read the Reddit comments, which you shouldn't do because if you're like in my position, right? Because Reddit's just a cesspool. But like I was
True.
expecting to see like some decent comments and some decent takes. Like this was the first perfect game in the franchise era of League of Legends. Okay, so
Yeah.
in the past 3 years since we've had franchise League of Legends, there hasn't been a perfect game. We didn't even lose a turret plate, so that's like the perfect game, right?
Mhm.
And to see people being like CLG is that bad, like CLG this, CLG that, I was like, are you people like are we living in the same universe? Like this is something that's
Yeah.
happened 5 times in the past 7 years in North America. CLG's been bad for how long? They've been bad for a while, right? And nobody else is
Yeah.
perfect gaming them, right? I would think it was just us. So
Mhm.
I would not say that it has much to do with CLG at all. I think it has more to do with our draft, our execution of that draft, and our practice. Like, I think like if any team, or not if any team, but if many of the bottom teams or bottom half teams were in that same game with those same drafts and had the first 6 minutes go as badly as it did for CLG, I would say we would perfect game all of those teams. Like the thing
Yeah.
with modern League of Legends is that there's this idea of counterplay, right? And doesn't matter like what tactic that we're going to use, doesn't matter what we're executing, but there should be some form of counterplay on the back end. So something that's really core and fundamental to my philosophy as a coach is that whenever you're executing a game plan or you're executing some tactic, you should always be thinking about removing the counterplay from the enemy. And that's something we really
Mhm.
drilled into guys in practice, and it's something we saw on stage. But at the same time, like we were executing on top side a lot of this early game, and Wiggly was trying to execute some sort of counterplay on the bot side of the map by ganking our bot lane, which probably isn't the best idea, at least with those bot
No.
lane matchups. Like I just don't understand how he could even do anything to our Lulu Aphelios after level 6, which is when he was ganking them for the most part. So, but that was their counterplay, right? They could try and attack our bot lane in a 3v2 advantage, and both times Wiggly tried to gank our bot lane, he got 2v3'd. And it was actually funny because we were in a Discord call together as a staff, coaching staff, and we were listening to the game, right? It's like a bit ahead of the comms, or ahead of the video. And I said to the guys after like the 6 minute, it was the first time our bot lane 2v3'd Wiggly, and we had like killed them on top side. It was probably 6 or 8 minutes in the game. I was like, this could actually be a perfect game. And then I
Wow.
typed in chat. I was like, I'm not sure if this is like baseball. Like, I'm not sure if I'm like jinxing it by saying this. And we were kind of like, we were acutely aware, like very early on, that like we had a
Mhm.
really good chance to actually perfect game them if we executed the way we did in practice. So I'm so proud of my players. Like I couldn't be more proud of these guys. Like I told them that like, this is all about what you did in practice this week. Like this is just a testament to the hard work you guys did. It's a testament to the discipline you guys had in practice. And I was so proud of them. And I don't take anything away from CLG. They came back and won. their next game against
Yep.
Immortals, which I mean, it's Immortals, yeah, sure, but like still, they beat Immortals. They won the next day. So yeah, don't take anything away from CLG. I think that my players deserve all the credit.
Yeah, exactly. I totally want to echo that sentiment. It's like CLG had the power to bounce back and go 1-1
Yeah.
in a weekend where they started the split with a perfect game, 0 plates. Like you have to give them credit there, but like at the same time, like I don't see enough like all the comments I saw personally were like, I don't know why EG is like in first place. Like, I think Team Liquid League of Legends tweeted, "Oh,
Yeah.
see you in first, C9 and EG WTF," and I was like, "Do y'all forget we were second in the regular season last split? Like, y'all got a memory of the goldfish? Y'all were in playoffs. I'm just,
I don't
and you want to
know.
come here and fight? You want to
Yeah.
catch some hands? You
I
know?"
don't know. It is a little weird. I mean, at the same, we did fall off a little bit. I guess at the end of spring, we didn't finish as strongly as we want. We did lose the flag quest,
Mhm.
so I understand that people like could have kind of like selective memory loss when it comes to our strength as a team. But I mean, you should be excited about the League of Legends that we're showing, and if you aren't an EG fan, you should be scared of the League of Legends that we're showing because I think we're stronger now than we've ever been, and I'm super excited to show what we have this weekend.
Absolutely. Same. And this weekend we have Cloud9 first and Team Liquid second. And these are, our partners within the first place.
Mhm.
What's the thoughts, man?
Ooh, I mean, it's perfect. I think like it's a from a narrative perspective, it's excellent because the three 2-0 teams like play each other on week 2 of LCS. So it's pretty cool because at least from my perspective, I thought that the quality of the games from the top teams the first weekend was much higher, or not maybe much higher, but it was higher than we saw in spring. So
For
I
sure.
like Team Liquid. They looked very clean in their win against TSM. And
Mhm.
TSM's like a decent team. I don't think they're great, but I don't think they're bad either. I thought both of our wins were exceptional in quality. I thought Cloud9's were like Cloud9 is Cloud9, and like they look
Mhm.
sloppy for 10 minutes and then they just smash you in like 25 minutes. So like you can't really call them sloppy just because like they're giving things away. It's just kind of like what they do. But I'm really excited for these matchups. I think that I've never been more confident in my 5 players individually and as a team. So this for us is like a really good litmus test to kind of see, how good we are compared to what we perceive to be the top 2 teams in the league. I think that it's the consensus, at least internally, that Cloud9 and Team Liquid are the 2 top teams in the league besides EG, and we expect to be competitive with both of those teams. I think that Team Liquid is a team that like they can match up well against anybody for sure, but I think even against us, they have a good matchup against us, and same for Cloud9. Both of these teams are really strong teams, and they're teams that like contest us in practice when we do practice against them, or when we did practice against them. So I'm excited to just see what we can do. I've been prepping hard for
Mhm.
these games already, and hopefully when you guys watch this, we'll come out with a 2-0. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see for sure. I mean, I'm very proud of like the work that our coaching staff and players have done. I think that cannot be contested. Like you guys have been grinding really hard for this weekend. It is like a test, right? Like of how resilient we can be. And I really do respect like all the teams that are playing this weekend. So hopefully get some good matches. I'm 99.9% sure we will.
Oh, we're gonna get some good. I mean, if I can promise one thing,
Yeah.
they're gonna be good matches. Like
Yeah.
EG is not a team that's going to be coin flipping games on stage. We're not a team that's going to roll over and die from behind either.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what happens this weekend. They're going to be entertaining high level League of Legends matches, unless Cloud9 or Team Liquid chokes. Could happen, but I don't think so. I think that 99% we're going to have some really high quality league.
For sure. I am so excited. I think like for me personally as well, like bringing back Team Liquid, who've come out stronger with tactical, I think has
Yeah,
been really interesting to see. And like for them narratively wise, I kind of want to pound them to the ground because they've been talking too much trash,
I was going the other
Too
way. I
much.
kind of want to. They're against us, so they have to lose. But like, if they weren't, I would kind of want them to win. Like, I'm a big Tactical fan. I'm not sure anybody knows this, but like me and Tactical played on the same amateur team, semi-pro team.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2017, I was his support.
What?
Um,
No
yeah,
way.
we
That's
got
so
we got
fun.
second place at like a DreamHack tournament together, and like we both kind of went our separate ways in our careers, and now we're like in LCS together on the opposite team. So that's kind of cool. So I'm a tactical fan. I'm really happy to see him doing well at Team Liquid. I think he's a great talent. And I think it was either in our first or second episode we talked about like the implications of the offseason moves. And I said that
Mm-hmm.
Team Liquid is going to be much stronger because their problems were not with individual skill of their AD carry. It was with the cohesion of their team. And I think it's obvious
Exactly.
after week one that they are much stronger with tactical than they were with doublelift. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw this in there too. I also said that I thought TSM was going to be not very improved at all with
Yeah.
their transfer, and I think I hit the nail on the head because they looked outclassed by Team Liquid, who's like one of the top teams, and they look good in their win. I don't even know who they played in game two. I forget the match. I don't remember their
Yeah.
opponent, but they looked good in their win for sure. But it wasn't against like a quality opponent, at least like a high quality opponent. So it's hard to, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, like give them too much credit. But their win was clean for the most part, so I'll give them that.
Yeah. And what about other teams? Like, what other teams have kind of stood out to you positively or negatively?
I mean, the bottom teams are like the O2 teams are Immortals, Dignitas,
Immortals.
and there's another O2 team. Play it fast and cheap.
Yes,
Um,
I have it up
it's
here.
Immortals, Dignitas, and who's the other O2 team? I
It
forget.
is. No, it's just that. Oh
Hundred
no,
Thieves,
a
Hundred
hundred
Thieves, right? Yeah,
thieves.
Hundred Thieves, Hundred Elves, the apparel
Oh my
company.
god.
Yeah, so
Yes,
I think
yes, we
that
forgot about them.
yeah, I think the apparel company is. It was an unfortunate weekend for them for sure. I thought their game against us was actually pretty competitive. Like
It
I said,
was.
there was some draft difference there for sure. For the first 25 minutes, I thought, like I said, they had the much easier draft to execute, but they were playing well.
Mhm.
Cody Son, I thought, was playing exceptionally on his Ezreal. So I don't really like read too much into their O2, but I do think that Dignitas going O2 is just like the cherry on top of my weekend because um, I mean, for many reasons, but like I worked for
Yeah.
Dignitas last year. I chose to leave because of the decisions they made in the off season. It did not align with my values at all. And for those reasons, I left. And it's very, very happy, or I'm very happy to kind of say I told you so. Like I would never tell that to them, right? But like all the reasons I left were centered around competitive success, and like I just did
Mhm.
not feel that what they were doing made any sense remotely. I thought that it was going to weaken their team completely, and I just didn't. For me, I'm a competitor, right? And if I'm not competing to win, I'm not going to be happy. And I didn't think that they were even going to be remotely competitive. So they went 0-2, and their third string mid laner, they did tryouts. They had 10-man roster tryouts, and they like their top two mid laners were Phoenix and Froggen. They didn't even like give Tanner like the academy spot. And then GDS is like, yo, we'll take him. Like, we're going to start
Yeah.
him in LCS and we're going to beat you with him. And then we're all going to spam the emote on the fountain while we hit your Nexus.
Yes.
And, like, that was so sweet for me to see because I'm friends with Tanner. Like, he's
Mhm.
somebody I consider a friend, even though, like, we had the player coach thing. But, I love Tanner, and I was super, super happy to see him succeed. I think he deserves it.
Mhm.
He's a hard worker, and I was super, super happy to see him beat his whole team. I'm sure that felt so good.
Yeah, narratively wise, whoever like handles the matchups for LCS really did a great job this weekend.
They
I'm sure.
did. No, they did. If you check your inbox or your PayPal, because I'm sure that the check is in the mail from Riot Games for you hyping up the producers like that. But no, I think
Yeah.
they did a good job. I think like us against 100 Thieves was good for sure. That was
Mhm.
fun. I really like kicking off the split too, being like opening day. The first game of the split was super fun. But there were so many
Mhm.
narratives like TSM versus Team Liquid, like all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
It was a great weekend for LCS. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, what we're kind of seeing the teams place as has been there's been a big disparity in my opinion. I feel like the best teams have gone better
Mm.
and the worst teams have gone way worse. There's like a very big divide. There's like top 3 teams in my opinion, and then there's like a weird middle thing that could just go anywhere, and then just like very, very bad.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree. That's like it's pretty intuitive or insightful rather. Yeah, I think you're spot on.
yeah, imagine if there were still regulations, dude. That'd be
Relegations? Yeah,
relegation.
I mean
Regulate?
CLG's already gone, right? If there are relegations, we can kiss Dolan goodbye in his slot, even though we might be doing that anyway. I don't mean to leak anything, but I don't have any insider knowledge. I'm just memeing. But yeah, it's gonna
All the
be
like fans in the back were like, "Yes," and
yeah.
you said you're joking, and they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't know if they're selling their slot or not. That's just like the joke, right? But I think that it's gonna. I think you're spot on. I do think that there's a very clear top three teams with Cloud9, Team Liquid, and
Mhm.
EG, at least right now. And after that, I think it's really a toss up. Like I guess like the fourth team would be like FlyQuest, right? Yeah,
I
I
was gonna
guess
say
you'd
FlyQuest.
presume it's FlyQuest at least from like their spring success and everything else. But at the same time, I don't really think they're necessarily competitive with the top three teams. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and I mean, I think we play them in week three, so we'll get to see. But I think we can handle them pretty easily, and I think that Team Liquid and Cloud9 can as well. So there's definitely like a gap for sure, and I'm interested to see what happens. Like, I wonder if like these teams will be kind of catching up to us as the split goes on, or if we're just going to start pulling away as they don't really make too many improvements. I think it's for us, we had a slow start last split and we like managed to cover so much ground and finish so
Mhm.
strongly. Now, when we're starting at such a good position, like I'm really excited to see the progress we can make this split. If we keep improving at this rate, starting from such a good foundation, I think we're going to be the best team in league by the end of the split. And I know that that's a bold claim considering how damn good Cloud9 is and how good they were last split, but that's how confident I am in my players. I think that these guys have what it takes to beat Cloud9, and I'm super, super excited to just work with them and improve with them this split.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and I'm here to shut down those Twitter trolls that say
Yes.
that we suck.
Yes, you are.
I'm literally in the replies like, "Excuse me,"
Oh
and then
my!
like I post like a picture.
I know. Did you see? I freaking I called out a fan on Twitter. Did you see that? It was in.
No.
Oh god, I felt so bad. He actually wasn't DMing Jizuke, but his comment was phrased so poorly. He was like saying like when Jizuke like stops doing X, he'll be one of the best mid laners in the league. And I
Yeah.
said, "Did you watch our games, XD?" And then he like responded with like 200 characters, and he was like, "I did watch your games. You're my favorite team. Like I love you guys a lot." And I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh no.
I instantly DM'd him, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like I shouldn't have snapped at you. Like thank you for the support." But like I usually don't
That's
snap at people in
funny.
Twitter comments. I leave that to you. That's your area of expertise. But the one
Yeah,
time I
that's true.
do, he's a nice guy, and I just felt like such a dirtbag. But it is what it is.
It's okay. Sometimes you gotta put people in your place, even
Yeah.
though you're a fan.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean, to kind of like end this off, you brought up Jizuke, and I totally forgot about this. Like he won Player of the Week,
Did
which was
yes.
super
So
awesome.
good for him. I think it might be his
Yeah,
second player of the week. I think did he get
second
one?
one.
Did he get one last split too?
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he did.
did.
So he's two players of the week. I think that's awesome. Good for him. And I will just, I mean, we're talking about him. I could shout out all the players. They're all doing exceptionally in
Yes.
practice. But Jizuke, I'm so, so pleased with. Like, he's somebody that we've like really like asked hard questions to, and we've really asked him to perform, and not only perform, but think differently about practice and think differently about his approach to the team and his approach to the game. And he's just thinking about the game at such a high level. He's thinking about his teammates' perspective constantly, and he's challenging himself to just be different and be better than he's been before. And you're seeing that in LCS. Like he's what, like 18-1 or something, like 18-1-4. His KD is
Yep,
insane. His stats are insane, and he's carrying games consistently. And yeah, I'm super proud of 2K. Well deserved Player of the Week.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were in Korea boot camping for the first time, all meeting each other for the first time. And man, I was like, wow, this guy is wild. This guy
Yeah,
is insane. I have never seen anyone in the LCS like him.
he's
Like
amazing.
just gameplay and everything.
He's
Like
amazing.
his stealing is so high, and like I like really respect that. Like he's willing to like make moves that other players aren't even thinking about.
Yeah, definitely. He's an exceptional
I'm
talent. I think that he's the best mid
Mhm.
laner in the league, and I can say that confidently.
Oh,
And I think that by the end of this split, that you guys will see it too. But yeah, for my money, he's the best mid laner in the league.
for sure. Well, that concludes this episode of Chaotic Neutral. Thank you, Artemis, for talking with me today.
My pleasure, as
Hopefully we
always.
gave yeah, hopefully we gave some good insight to you guys, and we'll see you guys for week 2 of the LCS. Thanks.